The Stoic way to conquer fear of the future. What is it that keeps us awake at night? It's not usually the present, it's the future. We worry about what might happen tomorrow. We fear losing the people we love. We imagine disasters, failures, betrayals, sickness, and death. The future feels like a vast, dark sea stretching out before us, and fear is the storm that keeps us from sailing forward. But the Stoics, the philosophers of resilience, discovered a way to quiet this storm. They didn't find certainty, because certainty is impossible. Instead, they found courage. They found peace not in controlling the future, but in mastering themselves. This is the Stoic way to conquer fear of the future. The imagination as an enemy. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Think about how many times you've been paralyzed by fear, only to discover later that nothing happened. You feared failing an exam, but you passed. You feared rejection, but the person said yes. You feared disaster, and it never arrived. The mind has a way of creating endless shadows. It makes us live through misfortunes twice, once in imagination and once, maybe, in reality. The Stoics understood this trap. They knew that fear of the future is not really fear of events. It is fear of our thoughts about those events. And when you understand this, you take the first step toward freedom. What is in and isn't in our control? At the core of Stoicism is one of its simplest yet most powerful lessons, the dichotomy of control. Epictetus taught, some things are in our control and others not. What is not in our control? The future. We cannot control the outcome of tomorrow's events. We cannot control whether we will fall ill, whether fortune will favor us, or whether life will unfold according to our plans. But what can we control? Our judgments, our choices, our actions right now, in this very moment. MarcusAurelius reminded himself each morning, do not let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same reason that arms you today. In other words, the same mind, the same courage, the same strength you have now, you will carry with you tomorrow. Why borrow suffering from the future when you already possess the tools to face it? The burden of tomorrow. Imagine carrying two loads at once, one for today and one for tomorrow. That is what fear of the future does. It doubles our burden. Seneca warned, he suffers more than necessary who suffers before it is necessary. We rehearse tragedies in advance. We pay interest on debts that are not yet due. And in doing so, we waste the only time that truly belongs to us, the present. The Stoic way is not to deny the existence of tomorrow, but to refuse to live in it before it arrives. Living in the present. For the Stoics, the antidote to fear was not ignorance, but presence. Life is never lived in the future, it is always lived in the now. When we lose today to worry about tomorrow, we are like someone who starves in the present while storing food for a feast that may never come. Seneca wrote, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. To waste life is not to die young, it is to live distracted. The Stoics invite us to live this day as if it were enough, because it is. Now, does this mean the Stoics ignored the possibility of misfortune? Not at all. They believed in preparation, but not in panic. They practiced something called premeditation malorum, the premeditation of evils. Seneca advised, rehearse death, exile, torture, all that can happen. These are the things which make us slaves. By calmly imagining what could go wrong, they trained the mind not to collapse under surprise. If you picture loss, you value what you have more deeply. If you imagine hardship, you realize that you can endure more than you think. Preparation weakens fear, because once you've walked through the worst in your mind, you know that even if it comes, you will not be destroyed by it. Courage instead of certainty. We fear the future because we crave certainty, but certainty is an illusion. The Stoics remind us that peace does not come from certainty, it comes from courage. MarcusAurelius wrote, do not pray for a life without problems, but for the strength to endure them. The future will never be safe. The only safety is in your strength. The person who insists that tomorrow must unfold in a particular way will always be a prisoner of fear. But the one who accepts uncertainty and stands with courage becomes free. Gratitude over fear. Fear of the future is often fear of losing what we love, but gratitude transforms fear into appreciation. Instead of trembling at the thought of loss, the Stoic gives thanks for what is here, now. Epictetus taught, "Do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not." Every morning you wake up, you are already rich, in breath, in time, in possibility. Fear says, "This may be gone tomorrow." Gratitude says, "Yes, but it is here today." When you live in gratitude, fear loses its power. Facing the ultimate fear. At the root of all fears of the future lies the greatest one, death. We fear illness because it leads to death. We fear failure because it feels like a kind of death. We fear loss because it reminds us that all things end. But the Stoics faced death head-on. MarcusAurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This was not meant to depress, but to awaken. When you live with death in mind, you stop wasting life. You stop fearing tomorrow because you know that tomorrow is not promised. The fear of death shrinks when you see it as part of nature. Death is not the enemy, it is the reason life matters. Stoic practices to conquer fear of the future. 1. Morning reflection. Begin each day by remembering the dichotomy of control. Say to yourself, some things are mine to choose, others are not. Today I will focus only on what is mine. 2. Negative visualization. Spend a few minutes calmly imagining what could go wrong. Instead of panicking, see yourself enduring. This strengthens resilience and weakens fear. 3. Voluntary discomfort. Practice fasting, cold showers, or sleeping on the floor. By choosing discomfort, you prove to yourself that loss and hardship are survivable. 4. Evening journaling. Like Marcus Aurelius, write each night. Ask, did I live today well? Did I waste it on fear? This anchors your life in presence. 5. Meditate on mortality. Keep the phrase memento mori, remember death. Let it remind you not to fear the future, but to live today with urgency and gratitude. The freedom beyond fear. When you live as the Stoics did, fear of the future loses its power. You stop trying to predict every outcome. You stop wasting your days rehearsing disasters. You stop carrying the weight of 2 tomorrows when only one today is yours. You become calm, not because you know the future will be easy, but because you know that you are strong enough to endure it. The future is a vast, uncharted sea, but courage is your compass, virtue is your anchor, and gratitude is your sail. With those, you can face anything. And so, the Stoics leave us with this timeless wisdom. Stop trembling at shadows that may never come. Stop dying before death arrives. Seneca said, "He suffers more than necessary who suffers before it is necessary." So live today with courage. Live today with gratitude. Live today as if it is enough because it is. When tomorrow arrives, you will meet it with the same strength you carry now. And when the end comes, you will not have wasted your life in fear, but lived it fully, bravely, wisely. If this message resonated with you, subscribe for more Stoic wisdom. Share this with someone who is trapped in fear. And remember them, the future does not need to be conquered. It needs to be met with courage. Stay strong, stay mindful, and keep walking the Stoic path.